My name is Tomek, product owner of Lumiare and partner at Maven.io. In today's video, I'm going to take you for a short demonstration of a core functionality and feature of the solution. Today, we're going to discuss about what Lumiare is and what Lumiare is not. We're going to cover templates, so a way to standardize a process of gathering context information about a project. We're going to conduct a project ourselves, collaborate internally, and to see how we can use these collaboration functionalities to align within a platform about a given project. And we're going to talk about the outputs. So what actually you can take out of Lumiare in order to promote your process even faster and better. So what is Lumiare? Lumiare is a tool which is designed to bridge a gap between we need to provide multiple interviews with the stakeholders of a given client in order to gather their understanding on what they want, align internally with our team in order to understand what we want to produce, and to produce a document which can capture all of this information. We call it discovery to SoW process, and Lumiare is a tool to solve this. While building the solution, we have put the generative AI capabilities on the forefront in order to help automate as much as possible and to give you a head start when it comes to any project you want to engage. Lumiare also has, as mentioned, a set of collaboration features because we want all the discussions and all the context information about a given project to be in the one place, which then can produce a single source of truth for a given project. Because of that, you can always reflect back, come back to the projects that you have already produced with Lumiare, look at the context information, learn from that, or maybe come back while having to the project while having a conversation with a client. At the very end, when we have all the context information, Lumiare can produce the output documents, documents that can help you speed up your processes, where it be statement of work, project charter, maybe project description document. Lumiare has you covered. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Right now, I'm logged in as a user. This is the first screen that most of the users will see. In this screen, we can see all the open projects, all the information that we need to check, which we're going to cover just in a second. Before we start the project itself, let's go into the templates. So, what are templates? Template is a way for us to standardize what kind of context information we need in order to produce an offer for a service or a product. Think of this as a recipe, a checklist of information we need. What is the budget of a client, timelines, stakeholders involved, maybe more technical things like number of users or a version of the system or integrations that you would need to do. Template is a way for us to standardize so that we won't miss information at the very end of any sales engagement process or a project. So let me start from creating one and explain to you how it's done. We have created a wizard which can help you to fastly create templates so that you can then refine them along the way. So let's start from a name of the template. So a name of a template is simply what we want to do. Description of a template is a prompt for the agentic workflow to produce a set of data points. Think about the data point as a one brick of information: client's budget, timeline, number of users. With providing a context for our agentic workflow, we can help agent to identify what kind of data points we need, and it will produce them for us. So for the sake of demonstration, let me just input this. You can, of course, start from just one or two sentences to provide the first understanding, or you can be much more specific about what you want to achieve. Lumiare supports multiple languages, but for this demonstration, let's stick with English. What happens now is that our agents are starting to work. They look at the description, they look at the name of the project, and then they start to answer a question: what kind of information a user wants to capture within a given template. We have identified 16 specific data points that we would like to cover. from budget estimates to constraints, deployment methods, success criteria, even to target users. So let me just approve those and let's be on our way. Of course, if we do not want a specific data point, for instance, what is the procurement process for a client, we can, of course, reject them and they're going to go into the trash bin. We can, of course, modify any of those and refine those to further identify the specific information we're looking for. So let me just approve all of those. If anything is missing, of course, you can create your own new ones, which will be used within any project. So let us continue. We have identified the core information that we want to capture, so data points. Now let's talk about the output documents. So what kind of a document we want to get at the very end of the process. Lumiare now takes all the information, all the data points and description of the product as well to produce the schema for the document that we want to get. In this case, as you can see, it's proposed as a document which could be potentially a project charter or maybe a project introduction document, or it could be even further refined with your help into a specific statement of work that your organization is using. So let me just approve those and let's get going. So we can, of course, create new sections and provide the descriptions of what these sections should hold. And we can also add what we call a mandatory information. Mandatory information is generally persistent bits of information that we want for every single section, for every single project to have. In this case, if we, for instance, would like to define that our company as a standard has 4 weeks hypercare after delivery of a product or a solution, we can input this on a stage of template creation, and every single project you run with this template will have that information. This can tremendously help your legal teams or your pre-sale teams to identify those hard boundaries that we want a project to have. The last step of it is simply to maybe rearrange the sections. Maybe we don't want a scope and deliverables to be that high in the order, so let me just move it a little bit down. With this one last click, congratulations. We have right now developed a template. So let's use it. I'm going to right now create a new project. This project first requires a template, which we created. So let's find it, implementation of software solution. Right now we need to set up or find a company that this project will be related to. Within Lumiare, we can create companies in order to track what kind of projects we are running for what kind of companies. So let me just find Amazing Incorporated. Right now, we need to create a name of a project and describe that project initially for our own team. Today's demonstration project will be about Albatross Black, which is a discovery to SoW. So let me just input this information. Again, as you can see over here, you can select a language for which given project should fall. Meaning that if you want to run the project, German, French, Spanish, you can do it. Of course, as Lumiare grows, the list of languages will grow as well. And those are the initial ones that you can work with today. So right now, we can upload any documents, and this is where the magic happens. What Lumiare does is that we can input any document, email, transcription, audio memo into a system, and it will start to classify the information, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So for the sake of this demonstration, let me just upload a transcription of a meeting that we have conducted, which was 45 minutes conversation, real life conversation between a sales representative and a client to discuss about a project, the needs of a client, project scope, and so on and so forth. This transcription can be provided to Lumiare in a number of ways, as a raw transcription of text, recording, PDFs, and of course, it's not just transcription. Maybe you have a long document you received from a client, or maybe we want to provide a short note, which we conducted and completed after a meeting. Everything is possible. So let me just upload this right now and let the magic happen. What Lumiare does right now is that it takes the information of the defined template we have used, and it starts an agentic workflow of data classification. It looks at the transcription and it tries to classify the information from the transcription to a given data points that we have defined. This process can take a few minutes, so let me just speed it up a little bit and let's see on the other side. And we're back. The process has concluded, the transcription has been classified, and the information has been put into the system. The screen you see right now is a project page. Within project page, we have all the context information and all the actions related to this process. Let me just move myself a little bit so you can see more clearly everything. Over here, things related to descriptions, what this project is about. We can invite team members to view the project. We can also invite potentially external clients to validate the information so that we know that everything is right. So let me go into the first data point. As you can see over here, we did not describe during the conversation with a client directly what are the budget estimates. But within the conversation, we did talk about what are the potential losses from not solving this issue. Lumiare assigned this information here to give us a brief understanding of what we know and what we're still missing. This can help users, this can help your team in order to go back to a client and solve and answer this data. Within here, we can, of course, edit the information. We can provide several different tags. For instance, like this is related to business, which then you can reuse however you want. Moving forward, let's go into another one, which is client business model. As you would see if you were paying attention during creation of templates, client business model data point was not in a list of template data points. The core functionality of Lumiare is that if it's not able to classify the information to the existing data points, it will create new ones in order to capture the information. Every single project is different. We know that, and this is how we solved it. No matter what kind of documents you're going to put into your template, you're going to get all this context nuance information into the system. Because of that, you can easily understand the bigger picture, meaning you and your extended team, which is working on the given opportunity. Over here, as you can see, these data points are rich with information. And this is taken directly from the transcription and conversation without any hallucination. So let me just approve this and let's move forward. The process of working within Lumiare is, rather than creating something from scratch every single time, is about reviewing the information, refining the information, aligning them internally with the team and external. As you can see over here, I can also change the view so to see a little bit in a more broader picture what kind of information I have and what I miss. What I would do, I would go through all of the core information and I would approve this together with my team. So instead, let me just jump to a little bit more advanced project to see how Lumiare is going to look there. So imagine a situation where you have been invited to a project, and this is your first time you're hearing about this. Usually, the process dictates that we would have a number of conversations, we would review some files, some emails to get ourselves up to speed what this project is about. With Lumiare, of course, we can look at every single data point and get to know them individually. Or we can just use AI summary, which will give us the one-pager information about the project. Every single time we modify data points, we provide new documents, new transcriptions, the AI summary is going to evolve as well to reflect those information. Because of that, we can onboard teams much faster and for them to have clearer understanding. Fewer meetings, which are related to understanding what client wants, more meetings about how we can actually solve the problem. Within here, of course, I can also drop questions and comments, as for instance, this one. So let me just answer let me just answer this. Expected support plan for a client will be 8 weeks. Hypercare. So switching here, so we will provide go live. I'm saving the information and I am approving this data. So what happens when we have all the core information? So we move to what we call requirements. We have identified already what the client is all about, what's the problem. Now let's think about what we need to do in order to solve that problem. Moving to a second tab, we can use Lumiare once again to give us the first cut of requirements that we would need to do in order to satisfy the case what we're working. So let me just hit generate requirements. As you can see, I have some unverified data points still within my project, but let's generate it anyway. What happens now, again, another agentic workflow that we have built, which takes the core information, the context of all the conversations, and it starts to build the first cut of requirement. This will definitely not replace any pre-sale team because they need to review the information, they need to enhance the information, they need to discuss. But what we wanted to achieve is we wanted to solve a problem of a blank page problem. So where do we start from? What is the first step that we want to do? With Lumiare, this is fixed. I can address any single requirement that has been created, look into what kind of description that requirement has, which was produced by Lumiare, talk about deliverables, and continue to work. How we work with Lumiare within Maven? What we do is we generate this set of requirements based on a completed core information, and then we together review those requirements and refine them. Of course, sometimes the requirements might not make sense, so we're just going to reject them or retire them by deleting those. But in most cases, this helped us tremendously to bridge this gap of first few steps. We have a base, and then based on that base, we can refine and work and continue to polish the requirements that are needed. So let me just continue with approving those items, and let's move to the last part, which is actually generation of the document. So after all requirements have been approved, and of course, as always, I can create new requirements, I can edit them, I can maybe delete some of them. Let me move to the output documents. So by now, we have created a template which standardized this process. We have onboarded this template to a project. We have filled all of the core information. We have generated requirements for this given project. And now we're going to produce the output. Over here, we can see all the verified core information, also known as data points, that we want to put into the agentic workflow of generating document. Maybe we don't want some of the data points to be there as our maybe internal thoughts or some of the information which might be sensitive. So for the sake of this demonstration, let me just approve all of those. The next thing is to find the requirements. Again, I can select all of them, or I can deselect any of them, however I feel. Moving on, I'm moving into document sections. Those document sections are the same document sections we were working on while defining the template in the first place for this project. So let me select all of them and generate the document. Another agentic workflow which we have built, which takes a series of agents to build this document. It takes information about requirements, their relation to core information, to the document and to the given section in order to produce this full document. This process can take up to a few minutes, so let me see you on the other side. The document has been created. The process has finished. It took 2.5 minutes to finish it, so let's see the result. As you can see, the statement of work for the project has been created. Over here, we can see the sections filled with the information that we have provided within core information and requirements. We can see what is the implementation approach, scope of work, and also things which are pending confirmation. Lumiare is not just creating a document, but it's looking critically of what kind of information we might be missing to make this document as bulletproof as possible. Your team can review this information and then further refine this in however format and way or shape of form you want. You can export this, of course, document and continue your process however you wish. So let's recap. So why Lumiare makes sense? We have went through templates and how we are able to standardize a discovery process. Every single time we were going to run an engagement, we can use the same context information that we need in order to produce an output. Lumiare serves as a single source of truth for the whole project, which can help us come back to one place to discuss, align, and think about a project from a single point direction. It provides faster alignment and simply fewer mistakes. Thank you very much for watching. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us or check out Lumiare yourself. See you.